welcome. Can't remember the day today, but never mind. We're gonna make some coffees now.
Unaware of your predators, you explore, searching for an easy life, but it never really happens. You can look in every corner, it's like looking in the mirror. Every time you open your eyes, it's life. You're crammed in a vice. Yo, I'm crammed in a vice. I don't know where my life is going. What's the dealing? Cause I'm feeling real sad, down bad. Yo, this shit makes me mad. Because people around my way don't care about their elders and they wanna stay with the raggle type of flex. They wanna fucking test, yo, they wanna pull the knife, but now it's a lyrical vest. I know mad brothers around my way wanna fucking not talk, they wanna spray as they display, thinking they get a rap, thinking they get bigged up. But at the end of the day, no one gives a fuck about them. I wish they grow up, cause yo, they're my true brethrens. Understand this, it makes me mad, and I'm trying to feel this. See yo, kids round my way, grow up and deal with this, yo. till we go from there. I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know, it's just madness around my way. I don't know like, where you come from, but still, like, you know, it's madness. I don't know. I'm trapped in this place. I don't know what to say, My other world, I suppose, is, you know, my mum, having my mum, my girl. Because that's the only thing that makes my world go round. You know, I love her to death, you know, and it's the only thing that keeps me strong, keeps me going on, you know, for real.
Discord's
Instinctively,
still on, is it?
we survive.
What do you reckon the Prime Minister's going to say today at about 5 o'clock? What could really be progress from where we are at? I mean, we're already on lockdown almost. Got to get ourselves isolated. I remember right, these tracks quite good. Sounds a bit quiet, but it's quite good bouncing bass line in it, if I remember. I think you should still be allowed to go out for a walk as long as you don't get close to anyone. Walking on back streets. You should be able to, I mean. Let's see why not. Yes, I was asleep all night. Right up until the new Junglism show came on this morning. Only 10 minutes ago. I haven't been up that long. Been asleep quite a long time. Right, I just worked something out, but I don't know how I did it, but I just got on some private messages and I just saw them. Weird. I take it Ash is in another room and he must be gaming or something. I don't know about Joey though. I'm not sure what that sign means, but Phil must be gaming as well in another room. They're online, but not in my room, but that doesn't matter. Sounds for make a message people. Right, it's the 17th of March today. Tuesday, 17th of March. I still haven't put my electric on yet. Oh, shit. I'll better do that today. Should have done it yesterday, really. Surprised the electric hasn't run out. Oh, should be alright. I'll get it soon. I'll get the key out. Now, I don't give a fuck what is on the telly. I don't give a fuck what is on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I can't stand that motherfucking telly. The addicts that go barking insane. Latest gimmick, latest trick, latest fashion item. What are you following? You're like a sheep. Bear. I am a lion, standing proud with my Rastafari tribe from Jamaica. Yeah, as they're conquering London, bringing the Most High into London to remind us how to live, how to eat, how to drink, how to smoke. And ain't no joke. So I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. So don't come with your bad man attitude, thinking you're well hard, thinking that you're fly, when all you've done is watch the TV and seen the actors, and then you copy it out in the street, and then you get a beating, you get brought down to the ground where you belong. Yeah, who has had ground visualization? Who realizes the ground? Yeah. Is it flat? Is it moving? Apparently it's moving at over 100 miles an hour. I can't feel it. It feels flat and still to me. That's what I suppose flat earth people, they must believe. But I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. Don't tell me what is on the telly. Don't repeat me the lines from the programmers of the opinionated. Because I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. Don't tell me what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I hate what's on the telly. I don't understand how a man can sit there all day watching things and thinking that it's like reality and this is our way that life is. That's not how you conquer the world. That's not how you control the Babylon. Babylon were just bad-minded, just didn't understand how to run a country. They still don't know how to run a country. They are like animals fighting among themselves. There is bitter infighting among politicians. Now let me tell you, if politics was all right, they would all be in agreement. They would not disagree. So they are not free. They are blind in their minds. Yeah, I see enough of them wearing their Mr. Spectacles. Yeah. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I want to open my mind. I like to get outside, walk, roam around, have a look on the street. Because I live in a city and it's kind of shitty. There's no nature. There's no soil. The soil is a perfect invention. Even when it rains, it's fine. Man used to make a natural path. We used to throw little stones along a path. It doesn't matter. We found a way. But now we have created this monstrous brick thing out of concrete and stone. So I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. Don't tell me what's on the telly. I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. I like to open my mind. I like to explore. I like to read a book. I like to open up my mind. I like to make some music in the studio. I like to roam. I want to so I don't give a fuck what's on the telly. Right, I've got a couple of tracks that are coming. Got one from East Alpha Division, one from Geordie. I have to get them off the computer and have a listen to them. We'll listen to them on the show, we'll just put them on. But I've got a whole load of tunes to get ready, really. But
relax.
we haven't taken our morning medication yet. We're going to have to take that. Right, I just took my morning medication. Right, I think now I'm going to do a bit of yoga. I think I'm going to do a bit of yoga, put the mat out, sit on the floor for a bit. So I'm just going to get ready for yoga. It's always a good idea to do some yoga in the morning. Just do a little bit. Right, the time now is 9:35. So I should be on the yoga mat till 10:35 really, but I don't have to be. If I get ready to go out for my exercise, I go out and do my exercise, come back and finish my yoga off. I'll see what time I get ready. It's a really nice feeling when you, in the morning, you wake up and you're full of shit in your ass. And then when you let it out, what a relief that is. What a relief. When you empty your ass, when you empty it of shit in the morning in the toilet, isn't that such a relief? Just such a relief. Right, we've had 2 coffees, I think. Now we'll have a cup of tea. I'm not sure if we should skin up or not, but I'll make my cup of tea and decide. All right, we're going to skin up, we've decided. welcome to a day. I think today is 17th of March. Tuesday, 17th of March. Should we have a look at the news and see what's on the news?
Donald Trump.
Let's just refresh the page.
Donald Trump is a big fat fool. He dropped out from high school. He can't even read and write. All he knows is how to pass the fight. He ain't never right. He's always wrong. And it won't be long before he embarrasses himself out in the Middle East.
When this aquarium in Chicago was closed to the public, its rockhopper penguins were allowed.
I think I need to restart this computer.
Well, that's not really a way to rule or to reign. You know, each and every day, everyone's got to eat and drink.
We've got some updates on this computer, so it's going to update now. Discord is down at the moment. We're just rebooting the computer. I noticed that it had some problems when I tried to play the news. So I suppose Discord's not working properly neither. It's configuring Windows updates. Right.
Too many businesses. How did he get the businesses? Did he get some machetes out to get the competition? All he is about is business and competition. Donald Trump is a big fat fool. He never even went to high school. He ain't really cool. Donald Trump knows how to bust a fight. Ain't never right. He's always wrong and it won't be long till we embarrass him, make him feel real small. He will fall. He ain't really got a chance. And he ain't really gonna bust the move. He ain't gonna conquer the Middle East, because the Middle East has Sufis like Zen masters and people that know how to fight. Not like the Americans that are all savages and barbarians, cannon fodder for the Middle East. Yeah. Donald Trump, he's a big fool. And he ain't even been to school. So how can we trust him in charge of America and Babylon? He's supposed to be the leader of Babylon. Is that really true? I don't know. And I don't give a fuck anyway.
Oh, this is quite a nice little track. It's called T007 Gosh. And it's quite a funky little track. It's quite nice. A bit quiet, but it's alright. Right, just booting up the second computer now. We'll hopefully have Discord back on here very shortly. Right, we're opening up Discord now. Discord's great, man. I love it. It's fantastic. Checking for updates. So every morning I have to reboot these machines. Seems like I have to do this every morning. It's a shame it's got such a buzz on the line, but one day technology won't do this, but for now we'll have to put the buzz on the line to get Discord working. You can always turn Discord off and not have. See, this section will be better because my right. Discord is back and running. Now I'm gonna have a look at the BBC News. Right, there's no point in really having the news on at the moment because it's just coronavirus programming for the public, I suppose. And it's not really what I mean. They're just going over the same points again and again. There's no real need to watch it, really. I don't think. Oh, I'm just going to call my dad up quickly. Today? That's good. All right. Okay. Sorry. I'm just doing a bit of yoga at the moment on my mat. try and do an hour of yoga a day at least. I'm trying to bring the yoga mat so that I sit on it. I'm trying to introduce it to my life so that eventually I'll sit on the yoga mat more than an hour, like most of the time. I'm trying to get flexible. And I'm planning on going for a walk as well today. Yeah, and that's it really. And isolate myself the rest of the time. Yeah. What are you doing there? Alright. Okay. Alright, I'll leave you to get on tonight. Alright, take it easy, yeah? Alright, I would just check out the next program. It's called Victoria Derbyshire. I don't know whether it's worth watching, but we'll just try it. Let's just see who this is. Right. Hello? You're downstairs, yeah? Oh, down, right?
Financial measures to help the economy during the coronavirus outbreak amid warnings that the latest restrictions could put a lot of businesses out of business. Well, Boris Johnson has urged everyone to stay away from pubs, theatres and restaurants to avoid unnecessary social contact and to work from home where possible. Let's talk now to our assistant political editor, Norman Smith. So, Norman, what measures are the government actually likely to announce?
I think we're going to see a fairly extensive range of measures directed mainly at the travel and leisure industry, who've clearly been hardest hit, but an extension of the sort of proposals outlined by the Chancellor in the budget. So things like loans, grants, tax relief, an extension of
we're just watching the Victoria Derbyshire show.
Even that, though, may
just
not be enough when
news.
you compare the actions of President Macron, who's talked about 300 billion euros worth of support. There's also likely to be some sort of help for people working in those sectors who now risk losing their jobs, businesses calling for wage guarantees, labour demanding mortgage and rent deferral options. And again, there'll be real pressure on the government to take more extensive action to enable people to claim sickness pay, with, we know, millions ineligible, either because they are self-employed or earning less than £118 a week.
OK, Norman, thank you very much for that. As well as avoiding unnecessary social contact and working from home, people are being told to self-isolate for 14 days if anyone in their household shows symptoms. The number of people who've died in the UK is 55, and there are around 1,600 confirmed cases, although it's estimated thousands more may already be infected. We'll have much more on what you should be doing in a few moments. And the European Union is expected to close its external borders and prevent free movement between member states today. The closures come as both France and Germany ramp up their efforts to combat the spread of coronavirus. Many countries have already introduced internal EU border closures. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced an enforced lockdown similar to the one imposed by Italy and Spain, saying we're in a health war. That's a summary of the key news this morning. Back now to you, Victoria.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's 6 minutes past 10. All of us this morning are facing a new reality, a dramatic new way of going about our lives, or trying to. The Prime Minister, as you know, yesterday announced strict measures to try to fight coronavirus. And today, the Chancellor will announce new financial plans just days after the budget, amid warnings the restrictions could put firms out of business and thousands of people out of jobs. This is what Boris Johnson is urging us all to do. No more non-essential contact. That means no visiting friends or family unless absolutely necessary. It means avoiding travel if you can. No more going to work unless you really need to. That means working from home if you possibly can. Avoid pubs, theatres, restaurants, cinemas. These won't be forced to close, but the government could do that if necessary. And things like big sporting events, festivals, other mass gatherings won't take place because they can't be staffed by medical professionals. If anyone in your household gets symptoms, then you'll have to stay at home with everyone you live with for 14 days. And don't use the NHS unless you really, really need to. This is to help an already overstretched health system cope. We're going to be asking some of your questions on the programme today, and of course trying to answer them with GP Dr. Gaurav Gupta, Professor of Public Health at Newcastle University, Alison Pollock, NHS Doctor, Dr. Sonia Adasara, and Professor of Health Psychology, Susan Mickey. Welcome all of you. First of all, I'm going to ask you briefly what you think of the new measures.
Given the new scientific evidence, I think the new measures are very sensible.
I think it was right for the government to change strategy. If you look at the data that they used based on the Imperial academics, they said on the current projections, they were estimating that the number of people that would need admission and need ITU beds was 8 times the number of beds that we have. So I think it's really important that we've changed strategy, and it's really, really important that your viewers follow the advice given by the government going forward.
I think the main thing here is to follow the advice that the government has come out, and I think it's the right advice at the right time. Of course, as we know, it's a fast-changing situation. I would urge all patients, public out there to stay calm, and also to remember that while the vast majority of the public is going to stay at home and stay away from the infection, the workforce, the NHS workforce, is going to put itself in harm's way to protect them. So try and be compassionate and kind to yourselves, to your neighbours, and also to NHS staff.
That kindness message, we have to sort of spread it around to neighbours, streets, communities, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's crucially important. Yeah. So we're asking, particularly our over 70s, vulnerable groups, people with other medical health problems, we're asking them to isolate themselves for quite a long period of time. So it's really important that those of us that can, the younger generation, those without medical problems, that we step up and step in here to support them in any way that we can.
Alison Pollock, how do you reflect on the new measures?
Well, the government's completely changed tack now. Its original strategy was mitigation, so to try and slow the epidemic, recognising that the same number of people would be infected, and that was to try and prevent health services being totally overwhelmed. They realise now that they don't have enough health services or social care to deal with an epidemic. That's largely because they've cut so many services. And so now what they're moving is from mitigation to absolute suppression. So they're actually now trying to wipe out the virus by eliminating contact to prevent transmission from person to person. So it remains to be seen how effective that strategy will be, but this is a fundamental change in the policy.
Okay, I'm going to go straight to questions from our viewers, because I mean, I'm just looking just at the emails, never mind tweets and texts, and they're just, every second there are many coming in. And this, I'm going to start with a really, truly heartbreaking one, and this is from Clive. Hi, Victoria. My beautiful wife died of ovarian cancer. Her funeral has been arranged on Thursday this week. It will be a small affair, but a lot of people will be in their 70s. What advice can anyone give me? I would estimate that about 40 will attend and 20 have already pulled out. It's a real time of sadness for us. And Clive, honestly, we send you our love and strength, because it's absolutely heartbreaking. And Clive's also sent me the most wonderful photograph of his wife. So what is the advice for Clive for his wife's funeral, which is due this Thursday?
Well, that's a really tough one, and I can absolutely understand that he wants some social support during this time. I think that he will also recognise that it will be an individual decision for people as to whether they feel comfortable with attending it, keeping 2 meters away from people, not touching surfaces, washing hands, etc., or whether they feel they need to stay at home. I do hope that some people feel able to go and support him at that time.
Yeah. As a GP, what would you say?
So firstly, my thoughts go out to Clive, and really sorry to hear of his loss and the difficulty he finds himself in. I think in terms of the advice, I think people need to follow what the official advice is about social distancing. Some of the people who will be attending the funeral might have conditions themselves, so I think they need to think about their own safety as well. I hope that they'll be able to find other ways, ongoing ways to celebrate the memories of Clive's wife on an ongoing basis. But I think the best thing to do is to follow the government advice as on the website.
Yeah. You could have, for what it's worth, Clive, you could have a small affair, and then when all this is over, you could have the most incredible memorial service where you invite everyone. I'm really sorry. Sue says, we keep hearing if you have underlying health issues to self-isolate. Sue says, I have asthma, I have polycystic kidney stage 3 and liver disease, I have hypertension and 4 previous cerebral aneurysms. Asthma has been mentioned as one of the underlying illnesses to be concerned about. Are my other illnesses a concern? I have decided to self-isolate anyway.
So I think that's the right thing to do. In terms of who is at risk, the advice that has now come out is a little bit clearer than what we knew before yesterday, and that is anybody who's eligible for flu vaccination as a guide is somebody who's thought to be at risk. So I think in terms of what the specific advice in this question is, I think that's the right thing to do. If you go on the government.uk website, you can find a list of people who are at high risk, people over 70, and people under 70 with certain conditions are thought to be at high risk, and they should be self-isolating or social distancing.
Okay, this is a comment from somebody who doesn't leave their name. They say, I have never commented on any platform before, but I feel compelled to do so now. I'm a trained critical care nurse. I work full-time in A&E. I'm a single mum. I've never claimed any benefit of any kind. I'm starting night shifts today. Holidays will not be taken, and days off will soon be spent caring for ventilated patients, where the government will profit a third of my wages whilst I go without time off and my children go without me being around. I accept all of the above as a reality of the situation, but I'm made extremely angry by the selfish hoarders who are making it impossible for me to do a normal shop to feed my kids whilst I'm at work. I should not be working in these circumstances 13 hours a day, worrying about whether or not I can feed my family. The government needs to get a grip of this situation. You are a behavioural specialist, Susan. What do you say about the people who are still hoarding and panic buying?
Well, can I say, first of all, we absolutely need to look after our NHS staff. If they are unnecessarily stressed and exhausted, their immune system will be compromised, they're more likely to go off sick. In terms of people who are hoarding, I think what we found is that people were going out to get a week or 2 weeks worth of supplies all at the same time. Suddenly some of the shelves were empty. It got dramatized, called panic, and then everybody thought they needed to go out. So I think at this point it's absolutely vital that people don't need more than 2 weeks worth supply in their house at any one time.
Okay, right, we're going to move on because there's so much to talk about. The latest advice adds pregnant women to the list of vulnerable groups, which up to now included the over 70s and people with underlying health conditions. So if you are pregnant, you should take particular care to avoid social contact.
All right, I'm waiting for someone
Don't
now,
travel
so
unless you absolutely have
I can't go out for a
and
walk
work
yet.
from home if you can.
All right.
It follows reports that a baby born last weekend tested positive for coronavirus.
Let me know on YouTube if you
minutes
can hear
after
this.
being born.
If you can hear this
Now,
clearly.
the UK's chief medical advisor,
This
Chris
news.
Whitty, said global research suggested of the small
I don't
number of
know.
women who gave birth
Is any
when
sound
they had
going
the
through
virus
to
or
YouTube
gave
at
birth
all?
soon
I mean,
after they'd recovered from it,
I can't see
there
the
were
green
no
lights on. Let's try to put in the music on.
But pregnant women should still be cautious, he said. Have a look.
For many infectious diseases, there is a small but appreciable
I
additional
don't think any
risk,
sound's going through
and
to
we will
YouTube
not
at
know
all.
that until
Let me try and do
a
a
lot
stream.
more women have had children. We do not know for
All right,
sure.
viewer,
We can
I'm just
say
going to do a new
reliably,
stream. I don't think it's
this is
recording
safe
on
or there
YouTube.
is some additional risk. And of course, this is a very new virus.